Today we're going to add the exponent of negative exponents to our list of exponent rules. And we usually do a book about this, but I just made you one sheet that you can print off. This is your exponent cheat sheet. Would you please add to the top up here that if you have a negative and you raise it to an odd power, you're going to get a negative answer. If you have a negative, you raise it to an even power, that's 2, 4, 6, 8. You're going to end up with a positive. Now, if you have a power of 1, that means most of the time we don't write the exponent. So that's the first one, multiplication. When you're multiplying here, you add the exponents. 2 plus 3 is 5. And I kind of forgot the step over here by putting 4 plus negative 6 equals a negative 2 power. We're going to learn today how we react when we get a negative exponent. When we're doing division, we actually subtract our exponents. Be really careful when you have a negative, especially in the denominator, because 5 minus a negative 5 is not 0. It is 4 to the 10th power. I would suggest that you go through here and use different highlighters or colors to color between these to kind of make your sheet where it will break it up. Powers of powers gives us lots of power. So we take this to this power, we multiply, we get 15. Here we take and we multiply. This has a power of 1. Remember, if it doesn't have an exponent, it's understood to be 1. So we take the 3 to the 1 times 4 is 4. And 2 times 4 is 8 on the x. And we take 4 times 4 for the 1. 4 times 4 gives us 16. Then we take and put into our calculator 3 to the 4th power, and we calculate that to be 81. X to the 8th, y to the 16th. Anytime you have a power of 0 on anything, except for 0, you're going to get 1. In any variable to the 0 power is 1. 3 to the 0 power is 1. This whole thing taken to the 0 power is going to be 1. Now, 0 to 0 power does not have a value. Negative exponents. We're going to talk about this first, and then we will come back to this. But take a time to do some coloring on this and some time to get to know it and keep it where you can do it. You can have it available to you. Definition of a negative exponent. A negative exponent takes the reciprocal of the expression. Now, first of all, I'm going to explain to you why that happens. We're going to start here with 2 to the first power. 2 to the first power is 2. 2 to the second power is 2 times 2, which is 4. 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 2 to the fourth power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16. Now let's notice what happens as we're going down. Notice these are decreasing by 1. Each time that decreases, 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So let's continue with this pattern. What do we get when we take 2 and divide it by 2? We get 1. That's why any number to the 0 power is 1. Because we're taking that first power, which is that number, and dividing it by that number. Now, when we take one apple and divide it into 2 parts, we get 1/2 of an apple if you share it with somebody. So this is 1 over 2 to the first power. Notice that's a reciprocal. When you take a reciprocal, you take, if you take A over B, it would be B over A. You just switch the numerator and denominator. So 2 to the negative 1 power is 1 over 2 to the first power. 2 to the first power is 2, so that's 1/4. 2 to the negative second power is 1 over 2 to the second power. That's just the reciprocal. And because these are over 1, that's why this turns to be 1 over 2 to the second power. And 2 to the second power happens to be 4, so we have 1/4. 2 to the negative third power means we're going to put 1 over 2 to the third power, which is 1 over 8, because 2 to the third power is 8. 2 to the negative fourth power is 1 over 2 to the fourth power, which is 1 over 16. Now, just remember, I forgot about this, a reciprocal. If we have x to the 0 power, we get 1. X cannot be 0. You cannot take 0 to the 0 power. X, you're going to need to add this little negative here, if I didn't already on yours. X to the negative a is 1 over x to the a power. Now, when we take the reciprocal of this, a reciprocal takes this and put it on top, this and put it on the bottom. So when we take this, we're going to get x to the positive 3 power over 1, which is x to the positive 3 power. Now, if you look at what this says, to turn a negative exponent into a positive exponent, you take the reciprocal. It says cross the line and change the sign. Now, I'm going to liken this to this. Have you ever been in trouble and been told to go to your room until your attitude can change? If you are up here and you have a negative attitude, your mom may tell you, or whoever is at your house, may tell you to go to the basement and go by yourself. Go get by yourself to get you a positive attitude. Now, if you have a negative attitude in the basement, you may have to go to the top and the sign will change to positive once you've been there for a while. This is what we're talking about with when we cross the fraction bar, the sign changes. If we're in the basement with a negative, we cross that and it becomes a positive. If we are in the upstairs, up, and we have this, and we cross the line, that's when we have the 1 over it, we end up with a positive attitude. So now let's take a few examples like this, and we're going to work out a few, and I'm going to give you a few problems to try and see how well you can do on this, okay? Our first problem, we have 2 to the negative 3rd power times 2 to the 2nd power. When we're multiplying, here's where your cheat sheet comes in. We are going to add these exponents. When we add negative 3 plus 2, we get 2. To the negative 3 plus 2 is a negative 1. We do not leave answers in algebra with a negative exponent in it. What does a negative exponent mean? He has to go to the basement to get a change of attitude. This would be over 1 if it were a fraction. So we have 1 over 2 to the 1st power, which is just 2. On the next one, we have a division problem. To divide, you'd subtract these exponents. So we're going to take 10, and I would suggest that you write out every step of this. To help you not make a mistake, we're going to take 3 minus that negative 1. When you put 3 minus negative 1 in your calculator, you get 10 to the 4th power. And 10 to the 4th power is a positive, so it does not need to switch places. And we put that into our calculator, and we get a 1 followed by 4 zeros. On number 3, we have 7. We are dividing again, so we're going to subtract. We're going to take 5 minus 7. 5 minus 7 gives us a power of negative 2. When we have 7 to the negative 2nd power, means we take the reciprocal. 1 over 7 to the 2nd power. When he comes out of the numerator into the denominator, that's a positive. And 7 to the 2nd power, when you put that into your calculator with the upside down v, is 49. So our final answer is 1/49. Now notice here that this 3 has a negative exponent. So it's going to have to go up into the numerator. That leaves us with nothing down here but a 1. And we have 4 up here. It doesn't have an exponent on it, so that means it's a positive already, so it gets to stay upstairs. So everybody is upstairs when he goes up there. So we have 4 times 3 to the positive second power since he went upstairs to get his change of attitude, which is 4 times 9, which is 36. On number 5, this is division again, so we're going to subtract. 5 minus 7. When we do that, we get 10 to the negative second power. Negative means it's going to cross the fraction line. So we're going to have a 1 in the numerator because we don't have anything in the denominator here. 1 over 10 to the positive 2 power. And 10 to the second power is a 1 followed by 2 zeros. So our answer is 1/100th. On number 6, we are multiplying. Since we're multiplying, even though there's no multiplication sign in there, it is a multiplication. We are going to add these exponents, negative 5 plus 8. That gives us a positive 3. Positive attitudes don't have to cross the line. So 3 to the third power, just put it in your calculator, you get 27. Number 7, we're going to divide. Division is just like a great big subtraction sign. So remember when you see that, you're going to subtract these exponents. We're going to take 2 minus a negative 2. 2 minus a negative 2 is a positive 4. Positive people don't have to go somewhere alone, so they just stay where they are. So 5 to the fourth power is 625. On the next one, 4 to the fourth power divided by 4 to the seventh power. This is like a big minus sign, so we're going to minus 4 minus 7. When we take 4 minus 7, we get 4 to the negative third power. That means we have to take a reciprocal. It's got to be going to the other side of down in the basement. So we have 1 over 4 to the third power. Take 4 to the third power in your calculator. You have 1 over 64. On this next one, we have an 8. That 8 has a 1 exponent. X to the negative fourth power is has to cross the line and change its sign. The 8 stays on top because it has a positive. So the 8 stays on top. The x to the fourth power has to cross the line and change it to a positive 4. Okay, now we're going to do a couple on the back. On this one right here, on number 9, this is multiplied, so we're going to add negative 4 plus 4 is c to the 0 power, which is 1. Here we're going to take 4 minus 6 and 3 minus 3 on the f's. 4 minus 6 is a negative 2, d to the negative 2 power. 3 minus 3 is f to the 0 power. F to the 0 power is 1. 1 times anything is that same thing. So this just drops out. There's 0 f's left. D to the negative 2 power is going to be 1 over d squared because it has to cross the line and change the sign. I want you to do the few problems that I have. Please send them in to me, and I will get back with you as to whether you're doing okay. Thank you very much.